All across America, anglers from region to region are finding new ways to catch big crappie.
I think maybe if we go over that point, we might pick one or two up.
From spider rigging to one poling,
I know which one to give you.
to planer boards.
We're good for it.
One of the best methods used that seems to be a favorite among pro crappie anglers on the Crappie Masters Trail.
Wow. Well, right now we're sitting in 25 foot of water. We're going to make a swing. We've been trying to run ledges.
Is long line trolling.
If you're going to fish this way, you've got to have this.
Today, pro angler Kent Williams talks long lining with American Ethanol's Jerry Good.
We caught several of them today.
This fish was caught.
Find out how the pros use this method that always seems to keep them on top of the leaderboard.
Another fish that'll measure out. Again, this color and this style is really showing it's what it's worth.
Plus, we get exclusive insight on the ethanol industry and why it just makes sense to use E10 in your boat.
The bite's starting to pick up.
We're catching a lot of crappie and much, much more today on Crappie Masters Television.
We were just
in the fresh waters of North America lives one of the most sought-after sport fish in the United States, the crappie. With some of the greatest crappie fishing in the world, the greatest anglers from all corners come together, all striving for tournament victories, state championships, and of course, the ultimate prize, the coveted National Championship. These are the Crappie Masters, and this is Crappie Masters TV. Crappie Masters Television is brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association, American Ethanol, Bass Pro Shops, the Missouri Corn Growers Association, Humminbird, Minn Kota, and the West Volusia Tourism Advertising Authority.
Welcome to Crappie Masters Television and welcome back to Kentucky Lake. We are here this week in support of our Renewable Fuels Association and American Ethanol partners, and most importantly, the Tennessee and Kentucky corn farmers who are supporting us being here this week. We are going to jump in the boat right back here. We've got the Renewable Fuels Association team with Kent Williams, and he is going to be doing some long line trolling. It is springtime. The water temperatures have been cold all spring, just like everywhere else. They're starting to warm up. They had a ton of rain. This river is on the rise. There's trash floating everywhere. So they're gonna cover a lot of water, and we are going to teach you from the beginning to the end how to long line troll in these conditions. Water rising, fish scattering, great technique for catching a lot of fish. So we're gonna jump in the boat over here with Kent Williams, teach you how to long line troll. Keeper size fish.
Right now we're sitting in 25 foot of water. We're going to make a swing. We've been trying to run ledges, and anywhere from 15 to about 20 foot on the ledge. The baits are running about 14 foot deep. We're running at 1 mile an hour, using 1/8. We're still playing colors, but these are 1/8 ounce round head jigs, using big bite baits and pico lures. This is an electric chicken. Here's another little variant, pink head with a chartreuse and white upper. Right now it seems that the brighter colors are doing a little better, and I think it's because the sun's still a little bit low this morning. Once the sky brightens up, the sun gets up, we've been doing better on natural colored baits, something more like that right there. Yep, sure do. Well, for small fish, them little dudes pull. I believe that will make live well. He may not be thick enough, but this fish is caught on a pico lures. It's called a P-diddle with a glow head, 1/8 ounce. We've got the Minn Kota Ultrex on the front of the boat with the remote control. If you're going to fish this way, you've got to have this. You can set your course. You can just set it on autopilot. You can set your speed. It's got cruise control, and it takes everything out of the guesswork out of the front of the boat and lets you concentrate on the fishing. Easy to operate. A lot of good features on here. Spot lock, which will hold you, got the little anchor button there, hold you within 3 foot of a spot out on the lake. If you find a brush top, you're spider rigging or just jig fishing, it'll hold that boat right there and keep you right on that spot. It's one of the tools that you gotta have. All right, folks, we're gonna take a little quick break here and get a word from our great sponsors, and we'll be back with more Crappie Masters TV.
Welcome back, Crappie Masters Television. This week out on Kentucky Lake, we're longline trolling with the Renewable Fuels Association team. Got Kent Williams in the boat over here, and they're putting some slabs in the boat. Let's take a look. There it is. They are putting some numbers in the boat. Out here long lining on Kentucky Lake. We're off of the main river back into a cove, and as you can see, there's a lot of stuff floating in the water, a lot of trash in the water. So when the water's rising like this, it's picking up all the stuff off of the bank, and currents and such are pushing this water out towards the middle. And when these waters pull down and start to fall, that stuff will separate and go towards the banks. So not only are they out here longline trolling, they're pulling their baits through all this stuff. They'll have to clean those jigs off, because you won't catch fish with that stuff attached to your bait. They just won't bite it. Probably going 1 mile an hour, 1.1 mile an hour maybe, and working different depths of the water column and putting some fish in the boat.
Little male. One of the things we're using is the Genco rods today. This is the Hypersense. It's a 7-foot rod. We use a varying length of rods while we're doing this. We start on the inside with short rods, which is a 7-foot. Next rod out will be 10. Next rod out is 14, and the outside rods are 16. And you do that in order to keep those lines separated and spaced so you don't have a big tangle of jigs behind the boat. You still get tangled a little bit in turns and what have you, but we're spooled up with 8-pound line. We use high vis, even in clearer water like we've got here. This is so we can actually see this line on top. We're running a double jig setup, and these are 2 1/8 ounce jigs. Now, you get the same depth if you want to go to a 1/4 ounce, but we want to try to run several baits. That way we can run several different jig head colors. We can run several different color of plastics and find out what these fish want. What I'm doing is we're trying to get into the water column in a certain area, say 12 to 14 feet is what we want. Well, from trial and error, I know at 1 mile an hour with 2 1/8 ounce jigs, I'm getting into that water column between 12 and 14 feet. If I want to bring it up, I can speed up a little bit. If I want to go down a little bit, I can slow down a little bit. You know, it depends on where the fish are. You got to let the fish tell you something once in a while. They're just not where you want to fish. We've even tried this morning, we tried running a 1/32 ounce at 1 mile an hour, which got it out to about 3 foot, maybe 4 foot in the water column to see if there were shallower fish. That didn't pan out. All our fish are coming from basically a 2-foot span of water. The way we tie this, as far as the jigs go, we have to run a loop knot. All I'm doing, I've brought it up the line. about 2 foot, 2.5. I'm going around my fingers. In order to make this stay, I run the hook back through the loop, and I do that twice. Once I do that, you can cinch that down. Well, that's not going to slip. If you only run it through once, and you get a fish on, that pull is going to tighten that knot down, and that knot's going to go to the eye. It's real important to have this loop in around by that eye so that jig can actually free float. So when it's in the water, it will actually be in a horizontal position, which is more natural, just like a bait fish. If you pull that knot down close to that eye, a lot of times you forget about it and your jig will hang vertical, and that's not a natural presentation for a fish. Speaking of fish, got one on right there. This gentleman that's reeling this fish in is Jerry Good. I'll let, when Jerry gets his fish in, I'll let him tell a little about his background.
Okay, my name is Jerry Good. I previously worked at Hopkinsville Elevator Company, which is the parent company of our ethanol plant, Commonwealth Agri-Energy. And our general manager there was nice enough to set me up with the opportunity to come down and do a little fishing. Like I say, our Hopkinsville Elevator does own a ethanol plant, well, in fact, we just increased the size to a 40 million gallon plant, which has been very, very good for Hopkinsville Elevator, since it is a farmer-owned cooperative. So any profits goes back to our farmer producers, which we have a total of about 3,500 patron owners that own Hopkinsville Elevator.
I'm Joseph Sisk. I'm one of the 3,400 owners of the cooperative Hopkinsville Elevator. I'm a grain farmer here in Christian County, Kentucky, and I deliver into the facility that we're at today, which is the Caskey branch of Hopkinsville Elevator, 30 miles to the east of where the tournament's being held on Kentucky Lake. Caskey Elevator delivers corn into Commonwealth Agri-Energy, in which our co-op owns. We get the benefit of delivering to a point where a large percentage of the grain that we're delivering is being processed here on site.
Hello, my name is Micah Lester. I'm a 4th generation farmer here in southwest Kentucky. Grow corn, soybeans, wheat, and canola. And ethanol is a big part of our bottom line. And anyone that can help to get the story out of how good of a fuel that E10 is in boats, especially the crappie masters, the anglers and that family there, it's really helped us out, and we really appreciate how much they educate other anglers as well about how efficient and good E10 is in the marine engines.
This is on the Kent Williams side, and that pole's bending over. And it is a crappie, a decent sized one. It's got one of them big bellies on it. We're definitely down here. It is pre-spawn. Just like a lot of lakes across the United States this year, it's been a cold, long winter, and water temperatures just it's so far behind. It might be, 3 to 4 weeks behind here at Kentucky Lake.
Jerry, fish. Yes, bottom hook. Yeah, I believe that will measure out.
Not a real big crappie, but he's healthy looking, but maybe needs another couple of years to grow a little bit. But there's we've caught several of them today.
This fish was caught off a chartreuse glowhead with a white and chartreuse body. This particular bait is made by Pico, and it's just a 2-inch grub. Bottom hook, which has been the majority of the time that's what we're catching them on, with a few on the uppers. But that's an average fish of what we've been catching today.
As a fourth-generation farmer here on Lester Family Farms, the ethanol industry was one of the main reasons I was able to come back after college and continue the tradition of farming. And it's value-added markets like ethanol that will be the main reason that my kids will be able to come back and farm one day.
There's a fence, and you got your basically big oil is against ethanol, and of course all your ethanol and farmers, which most ethanol is corn-based ethanol. So it's been great for the farming, agriculture and farming community. I think it's a great alternative fuel. It's been great for the agricultural community. Plus, I think it's great for the auto industry. It's a cleaner burning fuel. It's a good oxidant for the gasoline. I think ethanol is here to stay, but right now you got to be efficient to be able to survive. And fortunately, we've been able to. We've got a good management team, and Mick Henderson and his crew has done a great job.
Hey, I'm Mick Henderson. I'm the General Manager of Commonwealth Agri-Energy, Hopkinsville, Kentucky ethanol plant, where we are proud to be part of the Kentucky-Tennessee Cropper Masters Tournament. I'm standing in front of a photograph now. This is 2011 of our plant, our quarry lake, where you can get a hybrid crappie. Now, probably not quite as much of a tournament fish as what you guys do, but we are an ethanol plant where we supply our ethanol plant with about 12 million bushels a year of corn, and that's going to make about 36 million gallons a year of fuel ethanol, and that's sold locally to the Nashville metro market, then ultimately comes back as 10% ethanol in the fuel sold here to fishermen and farmers in our neighborhood. So we have locally grown corn supplied through our farmer network of owners of Hopkinsville Elevator, and then we have our ethanol sold in the region, our distiller's grain sold in the region, and our CO2 sold next door to Airgas, where they bottle carbonated beverages with CO2. We turn our corn into 3 main products, 4 if I include the distiller's corn oil, but it's ethanol is our main product, distiller's grain is our main co-product, CO2 goes next door to our neighbors, and it's a 3-way split. If we take in 36,000 bushels of corn a day, we're going to make 1/3 of that into ethanol, 1/3 of that into distiller's grain, 1/3 of that into CO2.
This tournament and you know this team is, you know, their sponsors is ethanol, and that's the only way we've got to get the word out. You know, there's been a lot of bad publicity about ethanol, but ethanol is good. It's good for the economy. It's good for boats. It's not harmful. You know, it's like anything. You can take a rubber hammer and tear something up. So it's great. Ethanol's been good for Hopkinsville Elevator. It's been good for, like I say, agriculture. Been good for our patrons, and hopefully it'll continue. And we appreciate, you know, this group putting in forth the effort to get the word out, and I think it's great.
10% ethanol. Every winning angler in these tournaments is going to have 10% ethanol in their boat, and we're proud to be a part of that.
Jerry told me, I ain't never done this long line and stuff. Yeah. He's got it going. That's a little better fish.
Gotta be a big double.
Hey, look at here. All right. No wonder that felt good. Tell you what, I'm gonna let a little line out. I got you. I'm just gonna slide them right to you. How about that? How's that? That's a That's a documented double right there. Now this is the double that Jerry just caught. One of the oddities, you'll look in Jerry's hand, he's got a white crappie, which is noted by the vertical bars on the fish. This one is a black crappie. Same fish, just two different subspecies of fish, but those two fish had to be hanging out right there together in order to grab those jigs. Are just a foot apart. Good way to end the day. I'm Kent Williams, this is Jerry Good. This is long lining on Kentucky Lake. That may be a keeper there. I believe it is.
All right, we are out here been on the water with the Renewable Fuels Association team, out on Kentucky Lake, long line trolling. Kent Williams, he's out here with Jerry Good, and they have put on a clinic on how to catch these fish out here. They are still catching fish. They're catching them by the dozens. They're catching them 2 at a time, 4 at a time. Hope we were able to enlighten you on some tips on how to long line troll effectively, what to look for, how to do it, how to tie them on, and catch fish. So take this information, get out here to Kentucky Lake, go catch some yourself. It is fun. It's a great time of year to be out here. We're going to be back next week. Crappie Masters Television right here on Kentucky Lake. We're going to bring you some pre-fishing and a 2-day tournament for the American Ethanol Tennessee and Kentucky State Championship Tournament. It is going to be a blast.
Crappie Masters Television is brought to you by the Renewable Fuels Association, American Ethanol, Bass Pro Shops, the Missouri Corn Growers Association, Humminbird, Minn Kota, and the West Volusia Tourism Advertising Authority.